everyone, and then each of them will have a few minutes to talk, say whatever, maybe they want to react to the movie, maybe they knew what we were going to talk about tonight and they might want to offer some thoughts, but we left that up to them. So we are going to start right here on my right with, I had to actually write these on my computer because I forgot it at home, so hold on. All right, Dr. Bradley Lord is the Director of In-Home On-Site Services at Lakeview Center. Dr. Lord has a variety of experience in the treatment arena to include the treatment of adults and adolescents diagnosed with a host of mental health and substance abuse disorders. He spent many years working in child patient psychiatric hospital, with many years strictly trauma with adults and children diagnosed with PTSD and other anxiety-related disorders, and was the Health Services Administrator and Director of Mental Health for nearly 9 years for the Escambia County Department of Corrections. And then we have Paul Wallace to Dr. Lord's right. Paul Wallace is the Chief Probation Officer for the Department of Juvenile Justice First Circuit. He has worked in criminal justice for more than 31 years, spending 12 years with 2 sheriff offices in Florida. He's been in the Department of Juvenile Justice for 20 years. He started in the department working in detention and has been the Chief Probation Officer for 11 years. And then at the end, we have Rodney Jones. Rodney Jones is the president of the NAACP Pensacola Branch 5124, and earlier this year was voted an area director for the NAACP Florida State Conference. In that role, Jones will be coordinating the efforts of multiple chapters between roughly the Escambia County and Liberty County areas. The NAACP, established in 1909, is one of the nation's oldest civil rights organizations and works to ensure the political, educational, social, and economic equality of rights of all persons and to eliminate race-based discrimination. Thank you, gentlemen, for joining us. And I think that's, we had a couple more panelists, but the weather, I think, kept us away. So, well, you guys are great, but that's all we need. I want to start, actually, with one of my questions, and I'm actually embarrassed that I don't know the answer of this. I started my career as an education reporter in Wisconsin and moved around before I came here. And in other states, at least, there was always an individual education plan. So students who had some of the disabilities that we were looking at, the anxiety, ADHD, there were special plans for them that, at least in some of the areas I had lived in previously, would exclude them from some of the disciplinary actions that we saw taking place here. Is that not the case in Florida, or was I just looking at that far too simply?
We do have many of the students that we treat that do have these IEP plans. However, there's a big portion of those students that we treat that have fallen through the cracks of the social networks in the schools that don't have these plans, that should probably have IEP plans. I don't think that having an IEP plan alone keeps them from suffering the fate that you see some of these children going through. Many of them still end up in the juvenile justice system, which I'm sure Paul could tell you more about that side of it, but doesn't keep those things from happening.
And I jumped in way too fast, and I was supposed to allow them to speak, but I really wanted to ask this question the entire time I was watching it. So I'm actually going to let you each talk a little bit, and then if someone else wants to jump in on that, you could.
Let's say you've asked the question, so we may as well address it.
There you go. Thank you.
Once a student becomes involved in the juvenile justice system, if they are required to attend school, before they come in, they are still required to attend school. Once they're involved in our system, if they're on probation, it's going to be a requirement of probation. If they go to detention or to residential programs, they will absolutely be in a school. And if they had some kind of an IEP in the school district, the requirements of that IEP will follow them into detention or into residential.
What's an IEP?
Individual education plan.
Well, for most juveniles who have an IEP or a 504, there is nothing in place that will divert them from going into the system. Each one of them will go into the system as any other juvenile without an IEP or a 504.
And before we go in, I do want to answer that question a little bit. IEP, what would an IEP look like for a student? Can you give me an example of just, I mean, I can give it.
Well, for an example, if a student had been having behavioral plans, in his IEP, it might be set up, well, he'll have a timeout session. He'll have a pass, he can pick up that pass, and he can go to the guidance counselor. Instead of acting out, if he felt that he was going to act out in any way, shape, or form, he would get that pass. And he would take that pass and go to wherever his space would be. It could be in the guidance office. I've seen where they had kids come in and get on the computer and they can work on little things or educational programs just till they calm down or get back to a place where they won't be a behavioral issue in class.
All right, now I'm gonna let them talk and then I'll be quiet for a while. So